What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are finally here. We did House of X, we did Power of X, we did X of Swords, we did Dawn of X. Yes, I went out of order there, but we did all of those things right there. And now it's time to do Reign of X. This is the next era that comes after Dawn of X and X of Swords. This is the next step for X-Men comics. And we actually pick up with Sword number 1. Now, Sword is very important. And the reason why, because it has been around for years in Marvel Comics. And I mean years. But either way, though, it usually was an organization that was basically around to protect the space area of Earth and kind of watch out in space to see if any possible threat is on its way to attack the Earth. That was the original plan for Sword. Now, over the years, Sword has changed a lot. But remember, when it came to X of Swords, we saw the Sword base shut down. The entire organization was shut down and wiped out. But of course, now with the mutants being able to use the space station and actually get it back to working again, of course, now Sword is back. But now Sword is connected to, of course, COPPA. This is the mutant race going ahead and expanding their range, building up their numbers, building up their nation, and sooner or later just getting ready for possible wars to come down the road that could possibly try to end the mutant race. But either way, here it is, Sword number 1. Let's go ahead and dive into this now. Now, the first page of this book is actually very important. And the reason why, because it breaks down who's in charge of what when it comes to the actual Sword organization. And that right there is actually very important. Now, the first person we need to talk about is Commander Brand. Now, Commander Brand is the one on top of everything. She's in charge of the entire space station. Now, she also has been around for years in Marvel Comics. And originally, when she first appeared, she was the one in charge of Sword. Now, again, over the years, things had changed when it came into who's in charge of Sword. But of course, with Sword being back now and her being a mutant, that means she's back in charge of Sword once again. Now, on top of that right there, I do want to mention she does have the mutant ability to actually speak almost any language across the universe. And so that is her mutant ability. But either way, she's the one in charge. Now, you do have other characters who are on the space station and they are in charge of different departments of the space station. But of course, we'll meet those characters as we go through this book. But you have the teams kind of broken up by colors. So for example, you have red, you have orange, yellow, you have, I want to say light green, blue, and purple. Now, of course, these teams are going to be very important on what they do for the space station. But getting into the actual story, we actually do pick up with Magneto arriving at the space station. Now, of course, this is important because Magneto is here to basically make sure that everything is running smoothly, but also making sure that Brand is up to being in charge once again of the entire Sword organization. Now, of course, when he does arrive, we come to find out that Cable is in charge of security of the space station. Of course, his team is the blue team, I want to say, but basically he's in charge of the space station. So of course he has to make sure that everything is protected and also to see who is arriving on the space station, and he has to know when they leave. But of course, he's the one there to greet Magneto onto the space station. And of course, you do have Magneto use his powers as a way to move the space station, because technically this is going to be the big day where of course it actually launches. It comes online completely. This is the big day. Now, that is the moment you actually do have Magneto meet Commander Brand. Now, of course, these two are going to get along because right now they have to work together because this is the mutant race expanding their horizon, bringing in new pieces to their nation. And of course, Sword is just one of those new pieces that we're going to see in the new Reign of X era of X-Men comics. And so, of course, you do have Magneto and Brand being nice to one another, but of course, again, Magneto wants to meet everybody who's basically important to the space station. And so you do have Commander Brand say, fine, let me show you around. Now, of course, they do stop by the Red Zone, and the Red Zone is basically the technology department, which is right now being run. I don't know why I said bun, but being run by WizKid. Now, of course, WizKid has the ability to kind of understand and works very well with machines and basically able to tell machines what to do. And so, of course, he runs the tech department of Sword. Now, of course, he's very happy to see Magneto because when he sees Magneto, he looks at Magneto as one of the early people to help bring COPPA together, which he is correct because it was Charles Xavier, Magneto, also Moira McTaggart, and kind of Apocalypse as well. But of course, mainly, Charles Xavier and Magneto. Now, with that being said, of course, you do have Brand tell Magneto, hey, WizKid is the one in charge of all the technology we have on this space station. And of course, you have Magneto like, oh, well, if that's the case, then you are the future of COPPA, meaning that he expects WizKid to do amazing things from here on and now to the future because the future is bright for the mutant race, it seems like right now. How they're able to expand to different places and different things just like that after X of Swords. Now, you do have Commander Brand and Magneto walk away. Now, when they do, this is really more of Magneto and Commander Brand continuing to talk about what is the actual goal for Sword? Because Commander Brand wants to make one thing clear, that the space station was rebuilt or turned back online not to be used just by the mutants, but as a way to protect the Earth. That was the original plan for Sword. It was brought online as a way to find a way to protect Earth from future possible threats from space. That was their main mission, and of course she's saying right now that is their main mission once again. Now, of course, you do have Magneto agree that is a good mission, but of course it's Magneto want to say, listen, you have to realize COPPA still plays a huge portion in the idea of Sword coming back online. And so really, even though Sword is back online, and yes, its main goal is to protect the Earth, at the same time, COPPA still controls a huge chunk of what Sword can and cannot do. And that right there is very important. Now, you do have Commander Brand and Magneto continue their tour around the space station, where of course they do run into a character known as Frenzy. Now, Frenzy has been around for years in Marvel Comics, since like the 1980s. But either way though, when it comes to her character, her mutant ability is just that she's your basic superhuman character. So super strength, super durability, and so on and so on. Now, of course, the reason why she's on the space station right now is because basically she's going to talk to all the different leaders across the universe. Now, of course, right now you do have somebody from the Kree Skrull Empire, because remember, Reign of X does take place after the Empire event that we covered. And of course, by this point in Marvel Comics, the Kree and the Skrulls are now working together. But with that being said though, of course, they sent over a Skrull to kind of talk to Sword about Earth. And the reason why, because of course, their Emperor Hulkling, he was born as a Kree/Skrull, but he was raised on Earth. And so he looks at Earth as his home. But of course, he got married on Earth to a character known as Wiccan. Now, Wiccan is the son of the Scarlet Witch. this is where it gets very important here, because the Scarlet Witch is looked at by the mutant race as a pretender, because she was a mutant in Marvel Comics for years. But up to a certain point, Marvel kind of changed that and said, no, she never was a mutant, and she never was the daughter of Magneto. And by the way, now the mutant race actually hates her because of the event called House of M. Now that is just the mutant race. Everybody else likes the Scarlet Witch. And so that is why this scroll is here for. Because the scroll is saying, listen, I came here to talk to you guys about the idea of how most of your people on your planet do enjoy the Scarlet Witch, except mutants, because you guys hate her so much. We're hoping to change that because, again, the Kree and the Skrulls are now working together. We are a very powerful empire now. We would hate to go against you guys, all because the Emperor's mother-in-law is hated by you guys. And so, of course, Magneto does not like the idea of even talking about the Scarlet Witch. Now, this is the moment you do have Magneto and Commander Brand actually run into a character known as Fabian Cortez. Now, Fabian Cortez has been around for a very long period of time in X-Men comics, since like 1991 in X-Men #1. Now, of course, he has the mutant ability to kind of amp up your powers more. So like if you're a mutant and you have the ability to like throw fire or make ice, but you want to take your powers to the next level, Fabian Cortez can do that for you. Now, of course, right now, he's kind of in charge of the medical team of the Sword base, which, of course, you have Commander Brand tell Magneto they had no choice, because apparently they couldn't find anybody else to fit that role. But either way, Fabian Cortez is part of the Sword base. Now, that is the moment you have Magneto and Commander Brand actually meet up with the teleporting team. Now, this is actually very important. And the reason why, because when it comes to the teleporting team, they're known as the Six. And this is kind of building off the Five. Let me explain. The Five is a group of mutants that live on the island of Krakoa, where, of course, they have the ability to bring someone back to life. Now, of course, we do know it's not actually you coming back to life. It's a clone body of you with your memories downloaded into that new body. Now, of course, that is the Five. What you have X-Men doing right now is calling this teleporting team the Six. And the reason why I'm calling it the Six is because you have 6 mutants who all have the same ability, which is to teleport. Now, of course, they're all on different kinds of level. Some can only teleport so far as their powers let them teleport. But the main character that is actually important to this team is a character known as Manifold. Now, Manifold has been around for a good period of time of X-Men comics. Now, he usually does have the ability to actually teleport across the universe. Now, of course, when it comes to Manifold, he can do that, but not to a point at a very large number, meaning that he can take a good sized group. But asking him to teleport a space station or an island is kind of a lot to ask. And so what they did was they brought in 5 other mutants who also have the ability to teleport. But then thanks to WizKid being able to build some tech which could technically combine all their powers together, now the X-Men have the ability to basically travel almost anywhere in the universe, the multiverse, any other kind of dimension, or even some points in space and time that no man has gone before. And so that right there is actually huge, because this is the X-Men expanding their horizon. Now, of course, you actually do have Manifold in his team show Magneto what they can do. And they do travel to different points across the universe, or actually beyond the universe. So like the Far Shore, are, of course, the Mystery, and especially the White Hot Room. Now, this is actually very important because these places are beyond the universe. They're beyond the multiverse. But either way, you actually do have Magneto watching this team being able to teleport over into the white hot room. And of course, they're able to condense this small elemental energy known as carbons into a new kind of metal. And this metal is called mysterium. Yes, it is called mysterium because it is a mysterious metal. But of course, this metal is going to be very important for for Sword and their later books. But with all that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. And so with that being said, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.